80 years, UNCF has stood as a bright beacon of hope and opportunity, transforming the lives of countless students. From the first donation made in 1944 to the millions of dollars in educational assistance provided today, UNCF has been a pivotal force in breaking down barriers to higher education across the United States. Our alumni span the globe, a testament to the power of your support. As we celebrate this 80-year milestone, our mission is as urgent as it has ever been. A college degree still remains out of reach for far too many. But with your help, UNCF can continue to break down barriers. Today and for 80 years, UNCF has been honoring the legacy, transforming our future. Your support isn't just a donation, it's an investment in a brighter, more equitable future for us all. And remember, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Learn more, uncf.org/80th.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to day 2 of the Equity in Education Virtual Learning Series. My name is Dr. Keely Webb Coppridge, and I'm a Senior Research Associate with the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute. It's my pleasure to introduce you all to my colleagues, Dr. Davis and Dr. Mosley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Roshan Davis. I am a postdoc researcher at Louisiana State University. Also, I worked with the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute as a doctoral researcher.
And hi, my name is Latasha Mosley, and I also serve as a research fellow for the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute and currently serve as a program manager for a nonprofit.
All right, thank you so much. So it is our pleasure to present our work, the hard work of hard work, Black Teacher Pipeline Best Practices at HBCU Teacher Education Programs. Being as UNCF, we always like to know where our attendees are, what HBCU our attendees graduated from. So if you attended an HBCU, please write in the chat or on Hoover or on YouTube or on Zoom what HBCU you graduated from. Hampton University. Thank you, Catherine. Anyone else? Okay, we have a diverse group of people that have attended our illustrious institutions. So we welcome you all and we welcome everyone to this presentation. We first want to thank the HBCUs that volunteered to participate in our research study. We had an absolutely amazing time learning about the tremendous impact and the innovative practices that they are doing at their institutions. The faculty, staff, and students provided us an in-depth review of their experiences, as well as the skills that they have and how other HBCUs and other institutions can do. So now we're going to talk about, I'm going to do a quick review of the agenda. We will have a literature review, and the literature review will entail a review of the historical and current issues impacting the Black teacher pipeline, the impact of Black teachers on Black students' educational and socio-emotional development, and current strategies currently being used to recruit Black teachers, and then our illustrious HBCUs. We will then review our theoretical framework. So we will introduce you all to Gloria Lattin-Billings' culturally relevant pedagogy, as well as Valenzuela's aesthetic care and authentic care. Finally, we will review the methods in analysis. Our research is a qualitative analysis, followed by our findings. Our findings have been separated in 3 areas. Those areas are recruitment best practices, curricular best practices, and co-curricular best practices. We will then review the implications for all of those practices, followed by future directions and then a discussion. So it is my pleasure to introduce you all to the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute. The Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute is a research arm of the United Negro College Fund. The mission of our research is to design, conduct, and disseminate research that guides policymakers, educators, and philanthropists, as well as educate the general community on improving the educational outcomes of African Americans and other minoritized populations, okay? And we do this from preschool all the way through the college graduation pipeline. Our research seeks to address the most important and challenging educational issues that are confronting African Americans and other minority populations. The Institute really focuses on investigating the obstacles and barriers that hinder the educational attainment of Black Americans, as well as we are very intentional of highlighting what works. So to ensure that other HBCUs are able to emulate it at their institution as well as abroad. So the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute consists of 9 passionate individuals. We are under the leadership of Dr. Nadrea Njoku, Assistant Vice President of our department. We are passionate individuals with expertise in various educational areas centered on improving the educational experience and outcomes of Black Americans in the United States. So now we're going to give some background. We're in the literature review component of our presentation. So Black teachers are essential to Black students' educational, social, and emotional development, okay? Yet Black teachers make up only 7% of teachers in America. For those of you who do not know, it's very important that we have Black teachers because our P through 12 system has become incredibly diverse. In fact, the kindergarten class of the fall 2014 was the first class in public schools that was majority minority. So if you think from 2014 to 2024, you're looking at about 9th or 10th graders at this point in time, okay? So because of the diversification of our student population, it is essential that we focus on diversifying our teacher workforce to match the students that they serve, okay? In order to do that, HBCUs are essential and critical in the Black teacher pipeline as they have a history of being the conduit of the Black teacher pipeline. Now we're going to talk about HBCUs. So HBCUs account for only 3% of colleges and universities, yet they produce 50% of Black graduates overall and 50% of Black educators. Now we're going to talk about the historical issues impacting the Black teacher pipeline. Rayshan?
So the teaching profession has been known to be widely accessible and respected amongst the Black community. Thus, during segregation, this resulted in a proliferation of college-educated Black teachers. HBCUs were key in this proliferation as their mission largely focused on the upward mobility of the Black community through education. However, during the civil rights era, Black teachers were fired based on their membership in Black organizations, their engagement in civil rights activism, from everything to protesting to voting. Displaced teachers were then left to find work elsewhere as they were barred from seeking employment at white schools, even though Black teachers are more likely than their white counterparts to have a bachelor's degree and possess advanced teacher licensures. So for example, in the South, school boards closed down Black high schools, converted them into middle schools. Black schools named by Black teachers or leaders were given new names. Black principals were demoted or given meaningless titles. For example, in Alabama, the number of Black principals declined from 210 to 57. In Virginia, 170 to 16. So Faircloth writes in his articles, The Cost of Brown, Black Teachers in School Integration. In the eyes of many Blacks, the process of integration was tainted by the fact that the power to control desegregation was placed in the hands of those who fought so hard to retain segregation. So one significant factor impacting the Black teacher pipeline that we found in the literature search was teacher certification exams. So as with many other tactics to destabilize the advancement of Black people, teacher certifications programs were used as a tool to hinder the Black teacher pipeline. So this quote here signifies the significant impact of teacher certification programs. Changes in policy to education, the increase of teacher salaries resulted in state departments requiring that teachers take and pass a teaching certificate exam in the 1970s and 1980s. This had a significant impact on the Black teacher pipeline, as teacher certificate requirements resulted in the elimination of almost 100,000 minority teachers in 35 states from the late 1970s to the 1990s.
And currently, there are three main factors that are impacting the Black teacher pipeline in the 21st century. These factors are inadequate college preparation resources. Currently, Black students and underrepresented minorities are often enrolled in institutions with substandard college preparatory resources to engage in. So resources such as low student to counselor ratio, access to advanced courses in the maths and sciences, and qualified teachers are critical to preparing new students for the academic rigor that they'll be expected of in colleges and universities. And once students are enrolled at these respective institutions, Black students, have access to a range of other lucrative careers to choose from, other than the teaching profession. And lastly, for those who decide to become a teacher, a significant barrier to becoming a certified teacher is, as Raishan stated, certification exams. So teacher certification exams, such as the Praxis 1, continues to hinder Black students' abilities to become certified teachers. Research has indicated that teacher certification exams, the subpar psychometric practices, and bad social justice social policies were and continue to be mainstays of such exams. Research confirms that teacher certification exams have no predictive validity on the best, or really aren't the best performance indicators of teachers' abilities. And really the best predictor is teachers' past performance of a similar circumstance. In essence, teacher certification exams, which are used at the state level, often control the color of teachers in front of students. And moreover, the use of these exams affect minority teacher representation, which further hinders the educational experiences and success of minoritized populations. Research continues to show how teacher representation, in particular Black teacher representation, is essential to Black students' educational development. Next, we'll discuss Black teachers' impact on students' educational development. Scholarship repeatedly illuminates how Black teachers have a deep understanding of Black students in their lives, both inside and outside of the classroom. Data has examined the impact of Black students and their impact of having Black teachers, and they're the positive results. Black teachers often serve as positive role models for these students and often improve their schooling experiences. Additionally, Black students who've been taught by Black teachers often experience an improvement in their graduation and college enrollment rates, an increase in their reading and math scores, as well as they tend to have higher end of the year grades. Essentially, Black teachers matter. So there are numerous federal, state, and local programs which have been created to diversify the teacher workforce. And notable programs are alternative teacher certification programs, which grant those with bachelor degrees the ability to enroll in an accelerated master's degree program, teacher certification program. In addition, state and local governments have alleviated some of the financial burdens associated with teacher preparation programs by creating service scholarships and loan forgiveness programs, where a portion of a student's tuition is reimbursed if they commit to teaching at a high-needs school for a period of time after graduation. School districts and universities have collaborated to create teacher residencies, so students participating in these programs often spend one-year apprenticeship with the teacher mentor while completing their coursework with the partnering university. And in addition, these apprenticeships allow for financial support, such as stipends and tuition assistance for these teachers. And other recruitment tools have been implemented across the country, which consist of completing high-touch recruitment methods, strengthening articulation agreements with community colleges to strengthen that teacher pipeline, as well as the teacher preparation process, and the cultivation of programs that focus on their intentional recruitment of Black male teachers, such as the Call Me Mr. program, which was founded at Clemson University. A review of Black teacher pipeline literature recognizes HBCUs' tremendous impact in cultivating Black teachers, yet few have conducted an in-depth analysis of the the best practices applied at these very institutions that yield such an indispensable contribution to the American education system. So this study seeks to address this gap in the literature by answering the following question of what recruitment, curricular, and co-curricular best practices are implemented at historically Black colleges and universities that are responsible for their role as a major producer of Black teachers for the Black educational system.
So the theoretical frameworks that we decided to use for the study was Gloria Ladson-Billings' culturally relevant pedagogy and Valenzuela's forms of caring, okay? Black teachers implementing a culturally relevant pedagogical approach had educational expectations that demanded, produced, and reinforced academic excellence from their students. Their teaching approach is defined as embodying a warm demander stance, where teachers balance the use of care and authority to create a structured, disciplined, and affirming classroom experience for their students. Applying and developing cultural competence centers on students' lived experiences and uses them as a vehicle for learning. By using affirming instructional practices such as providing opportunities for the students' community to participate in classroom activities or infusing hip hop in the curriculum, students develop the ability to navigate between their home and school culture. Lastly, the final tenet of culturally relevant pedagogy focuses on developing a student social consciousness. In applying the first two tenets, having high expectations and embedding cultural competence in the curriculum, teachers can create a foundation that encourages their students to identify, comprehend, and critique social inequities. Now, Valenzuela's forms of caring. Valenzuela distinguished between two forms of caring in the education sector, aesthetic and authentic caring. Valenzuela defined aesthetic caring as focused solely on the instructional relationship between the teacher and the students. This form of caring seeks to establish no other form of relationship with the students outside of an instructional one. On the contrary, authentic care seeks, to foster a reciprocal student-teacher relationship. This form of care extends beyond the instructional relationship to one that accepts students' cultural backgrounds and values within their relationship.
So for this research study, we utilized a qualitative multiple case study research design approach to deepen our understanding of the Black teacher pipeline at the selected institutions from several perspectives. So we looked at the perspectives of faculty, administrators, and students. So as a result, we identified best practices, processes, and initiatives that have resulted in the recruitment, matriculation, certification, and graduation of Black teachers. So our participant sample for historically Black colleges and universities, Albany State University, Alabama A&M University, Fayetteville State University, and Houston-Tillotson University, their teacher education programs participated. There were 37 faculty, staff, and students across these 4 programs. So for data collection, we did a one-on-one semi-structured interviews that lasted approximately 1 hour. Each interview group was asked a series of questions tailored to their scope of involvement in the teacher education program. Each interview protocol developed was grounded in the guiding theories, as Keely mentioned, of this project, thus specifically investigating the incorporation of forms of care and culturally relevant pedagogy in teacher education programs and its connection to successful production of Black teachers. So for our data analysis, we did a combination of inductive and deductive coding strategies. So deductive coding simply means providing an established set of predetermined codes based on our guiding theories. And our inductive coding allowed for inclusion concepts and thoughts in our analysis that were not necessarily aligned with the theory, but were relevant to the conversation. So each institution's interview data was analyzed individually, which allowed for an understanding of specific strategies to that institution. And then we did a cross-case analysis of the institutions collectively to determine the common trends across all programs. So we further want to talk about the selection criteria for the institutions that participated. So we utilized 2 criteria for inclusion for this study. So one, either the institution was listed as one of the top 25 HBCU producers of Black teacher graduates based on the National Center of Education Statistics, or the institution had more than a 5% of education majors in the graduating class. And we specifically looked at the time frame of 2015, 2016, and 2019 to 2020. We outreached to a list of institutions, and from this, we invited 4 to participate in this research study. So I'll go further to talk about the 4 participating institutions. So the first institution, Alabama A&M University. So located in Huntsville, Alabama, their program, specifically the Department of Teacher Education and Leadership, their mission is to provide instruction and for undergraduate and graduate teacher candidates, as well as other school personnel in areas of educational history, theory, philosophy, methods, and materials, research, policies, and procedures impacting K-12 schools and educational agencies. Albany State University, located in Albany, Georgia, their main objective and program mission is to prepare teachers, leaders, counselors, and other professionals that reflect on pedagogical and content knowledge, transform educational and clinical environment with research-based practices and skills, demonstrate culture responsive dispositions, and integrate technology into teaching and learning process to improve educational opportunities and enhance the well-being of the community. Fayetteville State University, located in Fayetteville, North Carolina, their program mission for the College of Education is to prepare knowledgeable, reflective, and caring professionals in the fields of education, research, and service. They proudly prepare transformational educators and leaders through licensure-only options and degrees at bachelor's, master's, and doctoral levels for the southeastern region of the state, nation, and global community. And lastly, Houston-Tillotson University, located in Austin, Texas. Their program mission for the education preparatory program prepares candidates for meaningful careers in education. Candidates are prepared to become effective educators who are technology-focused, reflective, and lifelong learners that are actively redefining their professional teaching identity, coupled with engagement and active advocates for students, parents, and communities. So in addition to providing the context and the missions for these specific programs that we research, we also want to provide some context in terms of the characteristics of the community surrounding them to further provide understanding of the institutions that are participating. So we examined and produced this profile of the surrounding communities and specifically the K-12 educational systems in which these future educators we're interviewing are receiving their training and where many of them remain to work. So one, all of them are located in predominantly Black or African-American communities. Their K-12 school districts are categorized by one or more of the following indicators. They're either low income, under-resourced or low-resourced, high rates of poverty, crime, and violence, and or high racial and ethnic minoritized populations.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the findings. And as I discussed earlier, the findings are separated into 3 areas of recruitment, curricular, and co-curricular. Let's talk about the recruitment. So many of the faculty and administrators discussed how they utilize their network to recruit students. For example, several of them were former P-12 educators. They discussed the ways in which they would engage their students and encourage them to pursue a profession in education. Another significant recruitment method across all of the institutions were leveraging community partnerships to engage a wide range of students. From religious events to conversations at the local grocery store, faculty and administrators appeal to have their recruitment hat on at all times. So just to provide some examples of what I mean. So again, one of the faculty members was very intentional of making sure that she had Alabama A&M teacher education gear on to provide an opportunity for those to provide opportunity to spark some conversations wherever she went. In addition to that, across the board, many of the institutions had some type of partnership for traditional and non-traditional students. So for all 4 of the institutions, there was some type of paraprofessional pipeline that the institutions had established, right? And what I meant by that was that they would have webinars and they would have webinars and workshops at local school districts. And when they would have these workshops, they were very intentional of inviting paraprofessionals in and then talking to them about the program that they have at their respective institution. In addition to that, so we talk about paraprofessionals, so it's largely our non-traditional students, but many of the institutions also had recruitment processes and programming for their traditional students. For example, Albany State University had a very engaging and close relationship with the Future Teachers of America organization at their local high school, and they often created workshops and opportunities for 9th through 12th students interested in becoming teachers to engage in activities in the Albany State University Teacher Education Program. A notable program that I found to be absolutely outstanding was Alabama A&M University received a grant. And a part of this grant was they basically provided teachers a stipend. They identified a teacher in various districts across Alabama, and they provided a stipend to this teacher to assist in them recruiting paraprofessionals to become teachers. So these are just some of the ways that these four institutions were created programs and processes to assist in them recruiting students into the teacher education field. In addition to that, across the board, each one of the institutions had financial aid was a significant tool that they used for them to recruit. So finances were a significant barrier for this population of students. Considering their degree program, they need finances for tuition, teaching certification prep exam, professional development, and personal finance. As such, each institution sought how to remove some of the financial barriers. For example, at Fayetteville State University, Bronco Test Preparation Program was used to provide resources for test preparation for teacher certification exams utilizing grant funds. At Alabama A&M, Alabama's A&M University's Males for Alabama Education is a program focused on recruiting undergraduate and graduate students who are men interested in teaching students in Alabama's public school system. Students are provided up to 2 years of tuition assistance funding, test preparation support, mentorship, and professional development. Then at Houston-Tillotson, in partnership with Apple Pre-Education Scholars Program, Houston-Tillotson University established the African American Male Teacher Initiative. The goal of this initiative is to produce 100 Black male teachers by covering all tuition, fees, room and board for 3 years. In addition to the financial support, the participants engage in service learning, social activities, and become Apple certified.
So in terms of curricular, there were 3 main sub-themes that came out of this. So early alert systems, intentionally cultivating a relationship with students, and attending to the social and emotional needs of students. So in regards to early alert systems, we found that 2 institutions, Albany State University and Fayetteville State University, use an early alert system university-wide to notify faculty and staff when students were consistently absent or missing classes. So this system and systems like it signal to respective education departments to reach out to students to see how they were and also to mitigate any challenges they were having and to offer assistance. In regards to intentionally cultivating relationships with students and attending to their social and emotional needs, a distinguishing factor between HBCUs and predominantly white institutions is the level of care that these institutions provided, specifically from faculty members. So collectively across all the institutions, faculties took an approach to learn their students holistically. This approach allowed them to serve students as the whole individual, often being aware of needs that may impact their classroom performance and engagement. Another significant area in curricular is maintaining high expectations and culture and historical responsive curriculum. Since many of the faculty were often alumni of these current institutions, they were keenly aware of the historical importance of HBCUs. And it was this history that often guided a lot of their interactions with their students. Additionally, they were aware of the surrounding environments the students would be future educators in, and they're responsive to these cultural backgrounds. And so, for example, at Albany State, their education curriculum course teaches future educators and how to incorporate various books and readings into their course learning to teach students about significant non-white major events, such as the Civil Rights Movement.
Each of the programs that we were able to look at discuss how mentorship as well as role modeling are actively incorporated into students' experiences. So in student focus groups, we explore from the students' perspectives how this mentorship and how role modeling has enhanced their educational experience, as well as prepared them for careers in education. And several other students shared that building connections with faculty members was a key source of inspiration and integral to their support system. For faculty administrators, they discussed that the investment they felt really compelled to make sure that their students were succeeding. So this included like at times paying out of pocket so that students could pay for the exams that they needed, as well as tutoring outside of their work hours. And this level of investment is really customary in HBCU culture, which adopts a family-like connection. Another way faculty display care for students is by preparing them for their future as educators through partnerships with outside organizations. So as an example, Hudson Tellison had a partnership with Apple, which aims to increase the number of Black male teachers, as well as a partnership with the Austin Urban League, which provided professional attire for students as they complete their field experience in the classroom. Additionally, each of the institutions provided professional development engagement. So they had often hosted lecture series, alumni panels, et cetera, to help build the network of students, as well as to expose them to potential job opportunities and what to expect on the job. And finally, students were encouraged to engage with other organizations to discuss a wide range of topics in impacting education, including, for example, the Education Honor Society may host an event discussing an issue pertinent to education, which may be attended by both students as well as the external community.
Now we're going to talk about the implications of our study. So from a recruitment standpoint, we always encourage and incentivize teacher education faculty and staff to use their networks. We also encourage the funding to be used to hire a teacher education recruiter to assist in streamlining the processes for recruitment. We also, across each one of the institutions, it was very important that they established and built trusting and reciprocal relationships, community partnerships to recruit traditional and non-traditional students. Talking to the deans, department chairs, talking to faculty staff at these institutions, they were very intentional in cultivating these relationships to ensure that they continue to have a fruitful partnership to create that pipeline for traditional and non-traditional students. Also, again, an implication is create a pipeline for Black educators from high school, right? If you know of students that aspire to be teachers, take that interest, take that motivation, and cultivate that from 9th through 12 to strengthen that pipeline, the Black teacher pipeline. And of course, most importantly, continue to increase financial aid opportunities for students, and that consists of traditional and non-traditional students to maintain the Black teacher pipeline.
So across the 4 HBCUs studied, we came from with these implications. And so one, there being an early alert system to monitor students' progress was highly important and very helpful in mitigating any challenges students were having. Also intentionally cultivating relationships with students. We noticed that faculty discussed very keenly how them being able to have a holistic connection with their students not only helped them to cultivate relationships, but also helped them to set and keep high expectations for their students, as well as thinking about how do we incorporate cultural and historical responsive curriculum, as in many of these students are working in communities in which this information and these different historical points are very important. And then lastly, attending to their social and emotional needs. And so again, knowing how to connect with their students holistically and being able to serve them academically as well as personally outside of the classroom.
And just to add some more information about the curricular, in talking with the faculty created an open and engaging atmosphere. So for many of the institutions that we were engaging in during, when we were doing the data collection, they were actively going through bomb threats. And so instead of ignoring those bomb threats and going on to class, the faculty talked about how they talked about the bomb threats. How do you feel? How are these bomb threats impacting you? But they also talked about, now imagine if you were 7, imagine if you were 10 or 12 years old. And so they acknowledged the how the bomb threats were impacting them, but they also applied it to the curriculum because they were very clear and they said, listen, you know, you may experience this, right, as a teacher. And so in what ways can we use this situation to prepare our teachers for when they graduate from our institution?
Regarding co-curricular experiences, we saw that the efforts of faculty members and administrators at these institutions are admirable, as you'll see in the article. Many of these individuals were managing multiple roles at the institutions, which can often lead to burnout and departure from the education field altogether. So we really strongly encourage educational department leaders to consider ways to develop mentorship partnerships with education program alum from their universities, as well as educators within the surrounding districts to help provide the needed mentorship for students. Additionally, the inability for many of students to pay for the certification exams, tutoring support, and other auxiliary costs were integral to their academic success, which can often deter many students from completing their program. In many instances, faculty members as well as administrators found themselves paying these fees and filling these financial gaps themselves. And therefore, we call for an increased financial support and sources to help mitigate the high cost of post-secondary education. Finally, many faculty administrators in HBCU education programs held multiple operational roles at the institutions, which, as we stated before, could lead to burnout and ineffectiveness of faculty members and administrators over time. So we encourage university leaders to consider how to effectively support these critical programs with staffing resources comparable to the scale of the program and the needs of the program.
And so for us, this work really was an initial understanding of how HBCUs and their teacher programs are producing such quality, high Black teachers. And so from this work, we've identified these several areas for future directions for research, policy, and practice. So one, conducting a content and observational analysis of culturally responsive curriculum and teacher education programs. Two, examine the validity of teacher education exams or potential barriers promoting the exclusion of specific student populations. Three, advocacy at the federal and state level for funding for HBCU teacher programs. Four, engage private organizations to partner with HBCU teacher education programs to assist in supporting future educators. Five, increase funding resources for HBCU faculty to implement innovative practices. And lastly, continue in establishing and promoting non-traditional pathways to becoming an educator. We know that this work is just the beginning of understanding the full scope of the HBCU teacher education programs and the ways in which it's able to achieve success producing culturally conscious graduates to serve the changing demographics of the K-12 educational system. And so we're excited to see where this work continues to grow to, as we know that this is just the beginning. And so to that end, we wanted to provide some time for discussion around this work and also the contexts in which some of our attendees may be working and connected to teacher education programs. So one, if you have any initial thoughts about the study, what are some areas of interest for further exploration that you see from this work that we have not mentioned? And then how might this research be translatable to the contexts in which you are working?
So please feel free to utilize the chat. I believe some of y'all have logged in on Zoom, Hoover, and YouTube. So please feel free to ask us any questions on our research, and as well as answer any of the discussion questions, as well as ask us any other questions that you may have, because we are here to serve you all. Okay, and we did receive it. So we have someone that works for the Austin Area Urban League and talks about their engagement in the Equity and Excellence Project underneath the Education and Youth Department. Well, welcome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions in related to our research? one of the things I want to talk about is just the overall title. So that, as you all know, the title of this presentation was The Hard Work of Hard Work, and talking with the faculty and staff and the students, it was clear the passion that they have for the preparation of their students. That was something that they found that you could tell. So did you all connect with teacher candidates? Did they mention unexpected things that are supportive and unique to HBCUs? Did you all connect with teacher candidates? Did they mention any unexpected things that are supportive and unique to HBCUs? So in speaking with teacher candidates, I'm assuming you are talking about the pre-service teachers. For many of them, it was just definitely the high expectations that they had. They appreciated how the faculty and staff were intentional about ensuring that they were prepared for the students of today as well as the future. And what I mean by that is, as you all know, most curriculum, teacher education curriculum is heavily managed, right, by the state. And so when you look at curriculum, you'll see like one diversity course, right? Well, across each one of the institutions, they recognize that, listen, this diversity course is not enough. So in addition to that diversity course, they also provided workshops that their students attended, as well as the individuals outside the community had the ability to attend, to expand everyone's pedagogical knowledge, to serve the students that they are engaging in, they're engaging in better. Yes, so is teacher pay and a career issue for recruitment? Yes, it definitely was. That was a barrier. Again, teacher education programs have to compete with other majors, right? And so that was something that they definitely had to be confronted with, which is why we at UNCF, and even in our research report, we talk about the need for there to be more funding and support for teacher salaries from the state and federal level. So Tiffany Jackson says, I'm interested in the implications of the score gap on teacher licensure exams on the Black teacher pipeline and best practices for supporting teacher candidates. So, and Rayshawn and Latasha, please feel free to answer any of these. So the teacher, if you look at the history of teacher certification exams, they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? They are meant to be a tool to exclude, right? And so from our opinion, we question the need we question the need of teacher certification exams. Just point blank in the period. We had an opportunity. There's one state in particular that was in desperate need of teachers. And so because it was COVID, a number of their teachers were retiring, or many of their teachers were experiencing burnout. So because they had such a dire need for teachers, they removed the teacher certification exam. So here's an exam that everyone touts as, this is important. This exam lets us know how good a teacher is going to be. But in the moment of pressure, they immediately remove the exam. So it kind of shows just how people utilize the teacher certification exam when they want to, and it doesn't really provide it doesn't affirm the need for teacher certification exams. So we don't believe that teacher certification exams are a critical component to ensuring that teachers that are great teachers are being made. So many HBCUs began as teacher colleges. Why aren't a higher percentage of the students becoming teachers today? Again, competing majors. is a factor that definitely impacts, right? Also, when talking to deans and department chairs, one of the things that they have came across from that has negatively impacted them was social media, right? They said, you know, a negative teacher-student engagement will go will spread like wildfire compared to a positive one, right? And so, you know, if you are Gen Z and you know you live on social media, it can provide a negative connotation that many of the teacher education programs have had to deal with in regards to how they recruit traditional and non-traditional students. So will you be following up with an assessment of programs? We would like to. We also open up the opportunity for other organizations and institutions to collaborate with us, as well as lead it. So these are really good questions, you all. Fantastic questions. Any other questions or comments that you all have? So the universities continue to support students once they graduate, as much as they can, based off of the funding that they are provided, right? So institutions that had some type of funding for some type of grant funding to support them once they graduated from the program, yes, they were able to do that. However, again, HBCUs are historically underfunded because of you know state and federal financial neglect, right? And so because of that, there is a desire to continue to provide support once they graduate. However, it is truncated based off of funding. Yes, yes, yes. And we will also, so Brandy, I can definitely say that. So between 1970s and 1990s, 100,000 Black teachers in the workforce. There was a decline of 100,000 Black teachers in the workforce. Brandy, what I will do, and as well with everyone else, we will be sending you all our PowerPoint, as well as upload, as well as you can find the recording of this presentation on YouTube. Okay, are there any other questions? Oh, or what are your initial thoughts on the study that we provided?
Yeah, there were some questions left in the webinar chat.
Okay, okay. So what do I tell a Black male student about why he should become a teacher? For a tactic that was used across the institutions was just the degree of impact that they will have with these students that they will engage in. You know, that has been the biggest way for them to recruit, as well as many of the teacher education programs have Black male and Black female professors. So being able to have a role model for them to see, and how that Black male faculty member or that Black male teacher has their career trajectory is certainly a motivator as well. In addition to your PowerPoint, can we access a copy of your study? Absolutely. We actually have a QR scan in the following slide that you can utilize, as well as you will find a copy of the report on uncf.org. So do you have any thoughts on how creating new modern Black private schools may mitigate these issues? Can you provide more detail on that? I think that, how can I say? Yes, we can create more, you know, we can create new modern Black private schools, right? But I think the issue at hand is teacher salary, right? And federal and state funding. So I think that what we need to do is we need to really focus in on, and HBCUs and PWIs need to work together um, um, in regards to fighting against that issue, right? What can we do as a collaborative to ensure that we are advocating for our needs as salary, as well as teacher education programs?
And then one of the questions from the chat, are there any other broad insights that you can offer about the concept of place? As someone who works in and researches rural contexts, that may be a point of departure for continuing conversation. Actually, interestingly enough, many of the students that we talked to, they were drawn to staying in those rural areas. They felt committed to those environments. Even though some of them, for example, like Albany State, they were from Atlanta, they were staying in Albany, Georgia, because they felt connected to that community. And so what we actually found was not only did the students desired and understood the importance of being a Black teacher, but they also were committed to the communities that they were a part of, and that strengthened the relationship between them coming from the undergraduate experience straight into the classroom. And then also those teachers now encouraging their students to come and go to college to become Black teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions? So we have a question on Black teachers choosing to further their education and opt for administrative positions instead of staying in the classroom. That wasn't a component of our research study, but that is definitely an aspect of the research that we continue to work on, because we believe that is something that is necessary for us to do research on to find out what is going on for that to happen. So thank you so much, Janine. Okay, so now we are, it is with great pleasure to officially premiere our report. So if you all can, please take your cell phone and use the camera feature to take a picture of the QR scan. This will provide you our report for you to download and for you to review at your leisure. Yeah, so this was a labor of love, and we thoroughly enjoyed working with all 4 of these institutions. So I'm going to keep this on here for about 2 more minutes, and then we will go on to our next thing. Okay, all right. So listen, it has truly been a pleasure talking with you all today about our research study. Again, this is one of many research studies that we at FDPRI are going to have. So we ask that you continue to stay abreast and to the reports that we're going to have at UNCF. And I want to just let you all know that what day 3 of the virtual learning series is going to consist of. So you all are in for a treat. So Christina Joy Lau and Sharif Almeki from the Center for Black Male Educators are going to present their research on insights into the Black male educator experience. Donors Choose has the largest Black male teacher educator survey. And so you all are in for a treat to hear about the results from that study. So as always, it has been a pleasure talking and presenting with you all. If you have any information about UNCF, please go to www.uncf.org. you have any information, want any more information about FDPRI, www.uncf.org/FDPRI. Again, thank you so much for participating in our presentation, and you all have a wonderful day.